This whole seminar series started several months ago with an alum, a recent alum of Spring Arbor University, asking some questions about what happened in her personal financial life as a student and as she left and became an alum and went out into the real work world. So we thought that's how this whole thing started. It was student-started, this whole seminar series. Today, we're going to be focusing specifically on budgeting and how you as a student can use your money in the best possible way, and to prepare you for when you graduate, how you can address some of these budgeting issues and be prepared for what you are going to face when you graduate. Now, a lot of you know that in the business office, a lot of you have been in our office. We are there to help you whenever you have questions about this kind of thing. But at the same time, we realize that we're not very good speakers sometimes. So we thought we'd bring in somebody who talks about this kind of thing on a regular basis. And Sheila Troxel from CP Federal Credit Union speaks to students all the time about these topics. And she has some really good resources that are available for you, not only to take away from the talk, but also after you leave, there's a lot of good information that's available online and tools that you can use online. So we thought we should bring in somebody who knows a lot of that stuff. If you have questions afterwards, feel free to come to the business office, because we're becoming more familiar with a lot of these tools as well, and we can help you through putting some of these tools into application in your own life. So anyway, Sheila Troxel is going to come and she's going to speak to us. Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you. Good morning. Everybody hear me okay? All right, I tend to move around a lot. I hope that's not going to be a problem for the camera people. I am excited to be here this morning, and as Mr. Eccles stated, I do a lot of work working with kids and talking to them about how to make good financial choices. We work with elementary students on helping them save and learning that savings habit. We work with high schoolers and helping them get ready for life after high school. We do reach out to adults and college students as well. So I'm excited to be here to talk to you about how you can have success through college, and also thinking about what's going to happen after college and what kind of choices can you make throughout your college career that will help you afterwards. And I don't have a clicker, so bear with me as I go back and forth, because I tend to move around a lot. So when you think about your college experience, it's my understanding that most of you guys are probably freshmen to sophomores. Would that be fair to say, or are some of you guys older? How many seniors in the room? Oh, okay, handful of seniors. Some of this stuff you might already know or have heard about. How many of you guys are freshmen? Okay. And then how many of you guys are kind of in between, sophomore, juniors? Oh, we have a good mix. Wonderful. Well, think about, you're in college now, right? And you're thinking about what you want to achieve. Why are you here at college? Anyone want to answer? Why are you guys here? What do you want to achieve after college? Yeah.
Certified teacher.
You want to be a certified teacher. So he wants to have a career after college, right? And so what I want to do today is challenge you guys to think about the end. So begin with the end in mind. And the reason I want to start out this way today is we work with a lot of schools, and a lot of our elementary schools are moving towards that Leader in Me program, where they take the 7 highly effective habits, the Stephen Covey approach, and they're trying to get kids to think more strategically about where they want to be and develop leaders. And this is the second rule that they have, is beginning with the end in mind. So when you think about that, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to college. But really, why is it that you're going to college? You want to have that career. You want to be that teacher. And what steps are you going to need to take to get there? And so today I'm going to talk to you about budgeting and helping you with your finances. But a lot of those same things are going to really apply to even setting goals for yourself while you're in college and after college. So let's start with the end. Where do you want to be at college? What kind of career and what kind of steps are you going to take today to help you get there? I want to start with some myths that people have about what happens after college, to get you to start thinking, okay, What can I realistically expect? So some of the myths, the first one says starting salary. Most people think, oh, when they get out of college, their starting salary is going to be so much. I mean, how many of you guys think you're going to get out of college and you're going to start out at $65,000 a year? It's probably a little higher than you would probably end up starting. So there's this myth that, oh my gosh, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to make this huge amount of money. And when the reality occurs, they're like, wait a second, I wasn't expecting to start out at $20,000 or $25,000 or something like that. So it's really looking at that career that you're going into and the area that you'd like to live and what kind of salary can you expect starting out. What can happen after you gain more experience or more education? How does that affect your salary? The other thing is you know, a lot of students who aren't really sure what they want to do after college, they just think, oh, I'll just go to grad school instead. But the challenge with just going to grad school is you're adding more student loan debt if you aren't paying for college yourself and you're taking out loans. And is that something that you really want to do? The other thing is if you are going to grad school, because let's just say you couldn't find that job right after college, grad school becomes a lot more of an experience for you if you can bring some of the real world in and add that perspective. So a lot of graduate programs actually look for, well, what have you been doing already? And do we, can we accept you into the program? How would you fit in, et cetera, et cetera. The other myth I want to really point out is a degree is enough. How many of you guys believe that if you just get a degree, you're going to get that great job after college? I'm so glad to see that you guys didn't raise your hand on that. Because it's funny how many kids think that. And I talk to high schoolers, and they believe, oh, I'm just going to go to college. And so I ask them, well, what are you going to major in? And they're like, I don't know, I just want the degree, I want to get that job. And the challenge is you have to have more than a degree, right? Think about it, if you major in business, how many other kids are majoring in business, right? Is there a special focus or emphasis that you want to have that might give you a leg up compared to some other candidates that are coming out of college with just a business degree? And the other thing is your major doesn't define your career. Using the example of a business major again, a business major is kind of a broad focus. You might narrow it more onto maybe marketing, or maybe you're looking at more production or manufacturing or operational emphasis, etc. But your major doesn't necessarily define your career. You could start as a teacher, and then as you gain more experience and you enjoy teaching, maybe now you develop your own educational program and you start to manage that. So sometimes your field that you choose may not necessarily end up being the career. And a lot of times people think, well, I'm an artist, so therefore I'm going to be an artist. And you may end up finding that you're now a director of a museum instead of being an artist. So be open to trying to figure out where you can fit and what kind of career you really want to do. The other thing that a lot of college graduates list after they've been in the workplace, they think about, here's some of the regrets that I wish I would have done differently if I had a chance to go back and look at my college experience or even preparing for that career after college. One of them is, a lot of times people wish that they might have, I wish I would have taken some time after college just to go explore the world and travel and see something different before I actually went into my career. Because after college, when you get that job and you're working 40 hours a week, how much vacation time do you usually get? Does anyone know? How much vacation time do you get in your first job? You might get a week, maybe you might get 2 weeks. But you have to work there for about 5 years at most places before you even get more time than that. So a lot of people wish that they would have either traveled more in college or spent some time seeing the world before they got into that career, buying the house and the car and that whole type of thing. So think about that as you're going through your college experience. The great thing is Spring Arbor offers you a cross-cultural experience. How cool is that? And if you like that and you enjoy it and you want to see more opportunity, look into that before you get into that 40-hour work week with a 2-week vacation maybe. Sometimes people said, when I got out of college, I just wanted to look for a job, and they were just looking for a job, not necessarily something that fit them or met what they were really looking for. They just took it because they needed a job to pay the rent. So some people regretted that. They wish they would have taken more time to really research the company, find out the culture, and making sure that it was a good fit for them and a good place for them to be. A lot of them regretted, hey, I wish I would have done a better job of managing my money, making sure that I was paying my bills on time, because I'm finding that now that I'm in the working world, it's really affecting me and it's harder to get caught up. So that's a regret that some people have. Ignoring health insurance, too. It's really tough when you're in college to think about stuff like that, isn't it? I mean, you're more worried about getting to class and getting that assignment done than, do I have health care insurance? Do I have renter's insurance? Do I really need that kind of stuff? And when you think about it, you have your health and your wealth, right? You need to protect both of them, because the minute you don't start taking care of your health and something catastrophic happens, it affects your wealth, right? And all of a sudden you end up with a lot of medical bills, and now you're working to pay off those medical bills. And college is fun. You have flexibility, you have friends, you're having fun, but you can still have that in the workplace. And sometimes people get so trapped in, I need a job and a career, that they're busy working, that they're not really enjoying life. And so that was a regret that some people had, is, I forget about some of those really cool aspects of life and things that I enjoyed in college. You can bring those into the workplace, find that right job, find that place where you feel that you fit. So those are some of the regrets. So taking a look at the end in mind and where you want to be when you get done with college, and making sure that you don't have some of these same regrets, and that you don't have some of the same myths that I've pointed out. Okay? Have no regrets. And make smart choices. And we're going to go into the smart choices here in a little bit. But first I want to give you another reality check, so to speak. I have an activity that I would like to do with you to show you kind of the reality of what it's like right now in the working world. And I have some candy in my basket, because I don't know about you guys, but about 10 o'clock, 10:30, I start getting hungry. And so I figured you guys probably want a snack, right? So I'm going to go to each one of you. We have about pretty close to 28, 29 people. So I'm going to go through here, and each one, there should be enough candy for everybody. Just don't even look. Just reach your hand and grab a piece, but don't eat it quite yet, okay? This will help illustrate why we need to make some smart choices, and then we'll go into that a little bit more. Just grab the first thing you feel.
Do you want coffee?
Oh, sure.
I promise not to take all of them.
Did someone already? I wonder if I'm missing the. No, they've got me. Good. All right. Okay. Did you guys get some already? Okay. And please make sure they all get some in the back too. And Caleb, grab yourself a piece as well.
Okay, we're good.
I love this activity because not only do you guys get a little bit of sugar, but it also really helps you take a look at where we are here in America now. And I can take that from you, Kayla. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Can the gentleman with the payday candy bar stand up, please? All right. Out of about 28 people, he represents 1% of the population here in America. And you did it. You're a millionaire. Congratulations. How do you feel?
All right.
Okay. All right. Statistically speaking, you can have a seat. Statistically speaking, you represent a portion of society that has a financial game plan. You make good choices with your money. You might be a little frugal. Maybe he's driving a car that's a couple years older than his neighbor. He's pretty thrifty and he's paying himself first, so he's building up that savings account. And so congratulations, good job. All right, who got the Smarties? Let me see the Smarties in the room. Please stand up. Smarties, all right. All right, you guys, we have 3 Smarties. Congratulations, you guys are living debt-free and living large. Yay! You paid for your college education, your car, and your house, and you have a fully funded emergency fund. Yay! You live within your means, you save, and you pay for things in cash because you don't really like credit. You started saving for retirement a little late, but other than that, you guys are looking pretty good. Sit down, please. Thank you. All right, who's got the dum-dum suckers? Stand up, please. Take a look around. Ooh. We got a lot of people that got those suckers, and you thought we only handed them out in drive-thru, right? All right, so I'm going to have you guys sit down. You guys are 23-year-old college graduates. Yep, and this is the group that's normal. They're broke, they're busted, and disgusted. They're 23-year-old college students with a total debt of $45,000. Car is $21,000. School loan about $20,000, and maybe credit cards because they used them a little bit more than they should is at about $4,000. Their annual income is about $40,000, which is a kind of a median income. Your monthly take-home pay is about $2,500, and your monthly expenses are about $2,125. You have to save for 3 months to get over $1,000 in your emergency fund, and it's going to take you 10 years to pay off your student loan, and 5 years later to pay off your car and credit card by only making the minimum payments. Okay? How about those of you who had the dots? The box of dots. Okay, just a couple of you. You have a seat. These are representing the portion of the population that is bankrupt. Zilch, zero, nada. We call this kind of the American dream. You know, they're married, they're 28 years old, 2 kids, 2 dogs, a house in the suburbs. But you know, you and your spouse bring debt into the marriage, totaling $85,400. Woo! Car loans total $42,000. You have 2 new cars, by the way. Your school loans total about $35,000. Credit card debt is now $8,400. And your annual income is $80,000, so you're making okay money, right? But you have to save more than 7 months just to get $1,000 for your emergency fund. It's going to take you a minimum of 10 years to pay off your credit card, 15 years to pay off your student loan, and you always have a car payment because you can't give up one given your current expenses, or you can't save up for one for your current expenses, rather. 12 years from now, you will have no money in the bank, and the kids need to go to college. You can't make it. You file for bankruptcy and most likely divorce. 90% of divorces stem from financial disagreements. Pretty sad, huh? All right. And last but not least, those of you that have the airheads, please stand up. Oh, we just have one. All right, thank you, Gordon. This is kind of the same as the American dream that we just read about, or talked about, but you're going to add another $100,000 in debt to that situation. Okay? Credit cards, mortgage, cars, boats, furniture, because unfortunately we want things now, right? You see that, you buy it, it's easy, you charged it, it was great. All under the pressure, you may lose hope and commit suicide. The number 1 cause of male suicide is financial distress. Kind of a grim reality, isn't that? Just to take a look at all that. And I guess I start with that because you have a chance to do something different. And it may not be easy to start taking those little baby steps, but like anything, exercise, dieting, quitting smoking, eating healthier. Is that easy to do? No. But when you have success and you officially quit smoking, doesn't it feel great? Or when you lose that extra 5-10 pounds that you wanted to, doesn't that make you feel great? And it does take some work. And so I'm here to give you some tips to help you feel better about your financial future and know the things that you can change and start today, even when you're in college. Because chances are you're probably on a very flexible income. You never know what you're going to get. You might be having some student loans that you're relying on for some income to help you through college. But let's make some smart choices. How many of you guys are familiar with the acronym SMART? Good for you guys. I'm hoping that you guys keep hearing it and practicing it. So, if those of you guys who are familiar with it, S stands for specific. What does that mean to be specific? Anyone?
Specific goals that you know what you want to do.
Okay, specific, knowing exactly what you want to do. It's the details, right? Okay, so give me an example, you guys. What's a detail? I mean, if I say I want to buy a car, is that a detail? Okay, how can I make that more detailed? Did everybody hear her? Want to say it one more time?
You want to buy a 2007 red Mini Cooper.
2007 red Mini Cooper. Does it have 4-door or 2-door?
Ford.
The 4-door one? Okay. Do you know how much that costs? Okay, so maybe getting the cost. And then, so that's pretty specific, right? And the more specific and the more details you have about the goal is important, because when you follow all these steps, do you think the likelihood of your success goes up? Absolutely. So what's M then, you guys?
Measurable.
Measurable, absolutely. What does it mean to measure your goals? What is that? Is it to count how many goals you have? No. It's to help you determine, how will I know that I succeeded? How am I going to measure that I succeeded? You know, how much change needs to occur today to help me get there? Do I need to start putting money away? Do I need to work more hours so I can have more money to meet that goal? And then how many accomplishments or actions is it going to take to make sure that I can get this done? You know, whether it's, do I have to save every week to get there? And these SMART goals don't just apply to finances. It applies to any goal that you might have for yourself. The more detailed you are, the more ways you can measure it, the better. So what's A, you guys? Attainable. What does that mean? Whoops. Attainable. What does that mean, you guys?
We actually do it.
Yeah. Is it a worthwhile goal? Is it meaningful for me? Do I really want to do this? And then, is it going to cause me to miss out on any of my other goals? And am I willing to really commit to it? I mean, that's the biggest challenge, right? Everyone says, you know, hey, I'm going to put $10 away, but do they really do it? It's willing to commit to that goal. R, what's R? How about somebody over here? Because she already knows this acronym. And you don't even get graded for this today. Realistic? Realistic or relevant, either one works for me. Is this a realistic goal? Is it a stretch for me? I mean, if you say you want to drive a Maserati and that's your goal, I'd probably take a look at your income and say, okay, when do I want to have this and really can I afford it? You might want to start looking at maybe a Ford. Instead, that might be a little bit more realistic than the Maserati. Although I think everybody would like to drive a Maserati if they could. The other thing is you need to have a time frame. You have to set a time. When do you want to do this? Because you can talk about buying that car all day long, and then your friends are going to say, hey, I thought last year you were talking about getting this car. What happened? But if you don't even set a deadline on when you'd like to have it, you can continue on and on and on, and you'll never reach that goal sometimes. So even those of you who are freshmen and getting started, it's not too early to start setting goals, even just for this year, on what kind of classes you want to take, where you want to be when you end up that senior year. Those of you that are seniors, how many of you already started looking for internships? How many of you guys have already started working part-time? How many of you guys have already started networking? How many of you guys have already started doing some teaching? Have you started teaching yet? All right. So maybe that might be your goal, to say, how can I get in there to partner One example, check in with Junior Achievement and partner with them to be a volunteer and go in and teach kids, and then you can say that you volunteered to do that. For the freshmen, though, we talked about the end in mind, and now I'm going to take you back to the beginning, when you're first coming to college. And the seniors, this might not apply to that much, but to those of you that are still relatively new to campus, one of the things that college kids struggle with is the Friday night and I'm broke blues. Because you're done with your classes, it's the weekend, you hear your neighbors across the hall are going somewhere fun, but you're really broke because you had so many lattes that week that you spent your money on. So it's Friday night, you're hungry, fridge is empty, you need clean clothes, people are going out, and you have a bill due tomorrow, or maybe you're living off campus and rent is due tomorrow. So those are all things we kind of struggle with when we were in college. Well, at least I did in college. I was like, okay, I want to have fun this weekend. What am I going to do? How am I going to have fun? Do I have the money to do that? So I want to help you survive some of those Friday night and I'm broke blues throughout your college career. And then later on we'll talk about helping you get to that career after college. So if you find yourself asking, where did my money go? What did I all spend it on? And how am I going to pay my bills? How many of you guys have a lot of bills right now? Okay. Some of you guys, if you're living on campus, maybe your bills are just like your books, maybe your cell phone. You might not have a lot of other bills. Maybe some of you have already started with credit card payments and you've got that bill coming in. And another question that might be on your mind is, if I do have that credit card, am I going to use it? So you're broke and you don't see anyone you know, especially for the people that are new to campus. When you first got here, wasn't it kind of awkward? You get here and you're like, oh, I hope I know some people, or maybe I'll run into somebody that I'm familiar with. These are just some tips to help you kind of get through that moment. And I'm going to go through it real quickly since a lot of you guys are older than freshmen. Let me just put these up. A lot of times, when you're new to a campus, smile. People want to be around people that are fun and they're smiling and they always seem like they're happy, right? No one wants to be around the whiner who's always complaining, right? I mean, that just isn't that much fun. Take advantage of free Wi-Fi. You probably have it all over campus here, which is fantastic. Don't isolate yourself by staying in your room and doing your homework. Maybe going to the library. You're going to receive people that are probably in your class. So when you have that tough question, you can say to them, I know I don't know you very well, but we're in that class together, and are you having challenges with this problem? Because I could really use some help. I would encourage you, probably one of the best things I did in college, and I just am so thankful for it today because it really helps me in my career that I'm at now, is I got involved in different study clubs, I was in organizations, I did different activities because it didn't cost me a lot to do that. And it was my social network. And so I would encourage you, if you haven't already joined a study group or you haven't joined an organization, look into some of them. The campus probably has a whole bunch of them that you can become involved in. And it's going to give you experience in leadership, organizing events. If you're doing events, you're going to learn how to promote them, how to organize them with a contract. Those are all things that you can actually apply into the real world to help you get those internships. It also helps you network with people on campus that you might not run into in a classroom setting. Maybe you're meeting the Gordon Eccles of the world, and he says, wow, that's such a really good student. We could really use a student helper here. And next thing you know, you're working for him. And next thing you know, he's introducing you to his brother or sister who's got a job opening when you get out of college. So start thinking about those opportunities because it's a great way to have fun and do things that don't cost a lot of money. So you're hungry. The cool thing is if you live in the dorms here, you can apply for a meal plan. It seems a little expensive when you first look at that large number, but if you have it, use it. They're open in the morning. You can get breakfast, lunch, dinner. If you plan your meals out, you don't even have to spend any money on food. If not, then you need to start planning your meals. What are you going to have for breakfast? What is it going? Are you going to run over to McDonald's? I don't know about you guys, but I'm one of those people when I get bored, I get hungry. And so then I'm eating throughout the day, and then before you know it, I just spent like $30 that day on food. And so if you don't plan your meals, you're going to find yourself doing that. It's so much easier to say, oh, I'm hungry, I'm just going to grab that potato chip bag, which was way more than you really would have wanted to pay for it. You could have probably got a hamburger and a small fry for it, maybe. Or learn to cook. I've been in some of your dorm rooms. I'm doing tours. You guys have like these little kitchens, right? Oh, you could do some fabulous things. Get a whole group of people, do potlucks, and share food, and learn how to cook. You could start your own reality TV show, maybe. I don't know. Look for discounted meals. Split costs with friends. I'm sure you guys have gone in on a pizza together, right? I mentioned the potluck idea. There's also money-saving tips. So when you do go grocery shopping, make a list ahead of time. I find that I put more stuff in my cart if I'm hungry. And so I try to eat something before I go to the grocery store. Otherwise, those chips at the end, those little end caps that they have at the end of the aisles always has all the good stuff that's not really good for you sometimes. And it just ends up in your cart because it was a good price. So make a list and stick to it. Don't shop when you're hungry. Click coupons. Oh, they have got a lot of great stuff now online. I mean, Groupon has group specials. Not as much in the Jackson area, but you can still go online and find great coupons. I don't know how many of you guys actually get the physical paper anymore, but you can even have specials emailed to you so you can save money as well. How many of you guys like to drink those specialty drinks? I love a good coffee. Oh, a nice hazelnut latte just makes my day. I went through Starbucks yesterday because I was on my way to Springport. I thought, I'm going to spoil my teachers and staff there and get the group of them some coffees. And for that Venti hazelnut latte, that was about $5. And so, I don't know about you guys, but I am one of those people that say, I can't believe people would actually spend $5 on a pack of cigarettes. They should just quit, right? And here I am spending $5 on a latte. Probably no different, right? I could probably save my $5. So think about it as more of a treat. You did really well on that exam. Woo! All right, you get your latte or your Red Bull or your energy drink or that sports drink that you like. So limit it to once a week or a treat. And the other thing you find yourself is, I've got my credit card. I'll just use it. I don't have to think about it today. And so you have to ask yourself, though, is it worth it? Is it worth using your credit card so you can have that latte that morning because you didn't get cashed, and so you thought, I'll just put it on the credit card and I'll pay it off. Just remember, credit cards aren't free. They're convenient, though, right? How many of you guys have a credit card? Oh, good for you. I like you guys even more now. So credit cards are not free. And you'll see that more and more. Back when I was in college, when you came on campus, they had tables all lined up and they were trying to get you signed up for a $500 credit card. Nowadays, rules have become a lot tougher. Financial institutions can't come and start saying, hey, you need a credit card, you need a credit card. And so that's a good thing because they aren't free, they charge interest. Have you guys ever looked at the interest rate on a credit card? Have you ever looked at, what did you guys find? What were some of the interest rates you saw? What did you say?
10, 12%.
Oh, it's even higher than that.
Yeah.
Some of them can be really high, yes.
Like 29%.
Some of them, I think there's a lot more rules now, so they can't necessarily go up to 29, but you'll still see that some stores will offer you like a line of credit, and it's like really super high. So if you're thinking about even 20% on $100 is how much? That's 20%. It's $5. So if you bought a $100 pair of boots, you just paid $105, and if you don't pay that off next month, and the other month comes, all of a sudden you could end up paying a lot more for those boots that only last one season, right? So purchases also add up quickly because it's so easy to swipe. And even talking with our young kids, they don't know the difference between a debit card and a credit card. They just see their mom and dad swiping the plastic and they assume it's credit. And so it's just become easy to use. So your purchases can add up quickly. That $100 boots, that latte, next thing you know, you've maxed out your card already. Interest will double your debt in no time. If $5 is 20% on 100, you can see where that starts adding up. And if you make your minimum payments, you'll never get that credit card paid off. The good news is we had some legislation passed within the last several years that now requires anyone that issues a credit card, including a credit union such as CP Federal, we have to tell you now, if you only made the minimum payment, this is how long it would take you to pay off. And people are looking at that and they're going, oh my gosh, it's going to take me forever to pay it off. And hopefully they're making larger than minimum payments because of that. Beware of fees too. So many people say, well, I'll just get cash off my credit card because I don't have any cash in my checking account and I need cash for this event that I'm going to. Cash transfers have sometimes a fee, and then on top of it have a higher interest rate than if you were just regularly swiping your card for an item, okay? So beware of the different fees. And if you're even one day late, or maybe your bill didn't get processed by noon that day, you could get a late fee. So fees on top of the interest rate can accumulate and make that problem even worse. So how can I afford everything without charging it? Anyone? Budget. Don't add to student loans by taking out extra money. I'm sure when you sit down in the financial aid office and they tell you how much is available and how much loans you can take only what you need. And that's hard, right? Because you're thinking, I don't know what my expenses are going to be, so I'm just going to take everything. The challenge is you have to pay that back eventually. And even though the loan rate is much lower than a credit card, it still is an interest rate that you have to consider that that's going to be added over time. Instead of charging it, maybe you work more hours. Maybe you find a part-time job at a place where you can get a discount on your favorite things that you like. If you like video games and things like that, consider getting a job where they sell video games where you can get a discount off of those. So there's a lot of different ways where you can actually get additional income so you don't have to charge. Think twice before spending the money. A lot harder to do than it sounds, right? You're sitting at the store and it's the last pair of boots and they're really great looking, or the event's really a cool event and you know that artist is only in town that weekend and I'm just going to charge it. So think twice before you spend it. And do you really need it or want it? What's the difference between a need and a want? Taking you back to some of your high school lessons, if you guys were in the Jackson County area, you might have had CP in one of your classes. What's a need? How about you in the flannel right there? What's a need?
Need something that you can't go without.
Yeah.
Need it to survive.
Yes, a need is something that you can't go without. You need it to survive. So then what's a want? You guys are all kind of quiet for college kids.
Everything else.
Everything else. Good answer. Wants are those things that you would really like to have, but you know, it's probably not practical. And those are the things that you're going to want to save for. So I'm going to get you up and moving just for a real quick second. So I'm going to give you an example of a need or a want, and if it's a need, I'd like you to stand up. Okay? I know, I can get somebody smiling, going, oh man, she's going to make us do stuff. Yes, I'm going to make you do stuff. All right, so a need. Let me think of a tricky one. We need bottled water. No one stood up. Why not? Why didn't you stand up?
You don't need bottled water.
Why don't I need bottled water?
You just turn the faucet on.
Turn the faucet on. Now, in some areas where they might not have drinking water, they may have to rely on bottled water, but it's really not a need. How about an iPhone? We all need phones, right? Especially an iPhone. Woo! Were you going to stand up? Well, you know, there's two ways you can look at that, right? I think most of you guys chose to sit down. Why would you think you thought twice about it? Tell me more.
Just a lot of my planning and scheduling and networking goes through my iPhone. It's
Yeah.
hard to do that without.
Exactly. If you just had a regular phone and all you got was phone calls on it, that might be perfect if that's what you need and you just want something for people to get a hold of you. But it's not something you absolutely need to have. But the reality is as we get busier and busier and busier, more things, we're starting to rely on our phone a lot more. So that could be debated. Because I have a husband who just wants a phone that rings and he can answers it. And he actually texts. I can't believe that he actually started to text. I'm like, wow. But he just wants a phone that's just a phone. And me, on the other hand, I am like you. When I'm missing that phone, I'm like, I haven't heard my phone in a while. And my schedule's on it, my notes are on it from meetings. I can't live without that. So that might be my need. And that's where those gray areas. Another thing, let's think, is it a need? Clothing. I had to get you guys up at least once. Because, you know, it's cold here in Michigan, right? It might be kind of weird for us not to have clothing. All right, have a seat. Good job. I have another one. A car. Is that a need or a want? Okay. Explain why why do you think it's a need?
I work more than like 2 minutes of walking distance away. I work in Jackson from here,
Okay.
and it'd be difficult for me to get there without one.
Does a bus come on here at all?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Just curious. And you sat down, sir. Why did you sit down?
I could take a bus or a train or.
You can find some other way to. That you guys can have a seat. In some areas, you may have to drive to Jackson to work because there might not be a lot of places in Spring Arbor where all of the students on campus can get to easily. And so they might have to look at a bus or a bike or some other mode of transportation. Cars can be expensive, maintenance, insurance. And so, you know, maybe if you lived in Chicago, you might not need a car because there's the airport, the trains, and they've got a bigger, better bus system than maybe a rural community. A rural community, that car could be that need. How about a college education? Do you need a college education? Okay. Why do we need a college education?
For the job I want.
For the job you want. Okay. Good answer to that one. And you, ma'am?
Kind of the same thing, to work better than minimum wage.
Okay. Have a seat. You chose to sit down. I'm going to pick on you this time.
Because, yes, it helps you, college degree will help you get the job you want, but you can generally find, even if you don't have a college degree, some job. It might be working at McDonald's, but it is a job.
Mm-hmm. So there's some, yep.
I would also say, in addition to that, some jobs, if you have a college degree, they might consider you overqualified. And then there's the option of trade school as well.
Mm-hmm. So it really is going to depend on your personal choice. And the great thing is we all have our own values and our own goals, and our values a lot stem from how we were brought up. A lot of it, you know, some people may say, you know, I just can't imagine life without a car. Some might say, well, I could walk. Those things affect your budget. And so your budget and your spending plan, I like spending plan instead of budget, really is going to depend on what is important to you. Okay? Not your neighbor, not your friend, not your relative. We all have different goals. We have different ideas of how much we need to have in our emergency fund based on our needs and our wants. And so that all is going to play into your budgeting. Good job on that discussion, you guys. I want to talk a little bit about a bad credit report, because if you do decide to use credit, you need to make sure that you are paying those debts on time, that you're paying your credit card off, because it affects your credit. And right now, do you guys have a lot of credit history built up? No. So how do you get it? By paying that cell phone bill on time. By paying, if you're renting and you're living off campus, paying your utility bills on time, your rent on time. Because now you're building up a payment history. Also, having a relationship with your financial institution, making regular saving payments, not overdrafting your account, being responsible and tracking where your finances go. A bad credit report means no car loan. So when you graduate from college and you get that great job offer that's in Detroit, but you need a car to get there, it might hurt your opportunity. The more you don't pay your bills on time, you become a bigger risk. And so therefore, it's harder for financial institutions, credit card companies, to look at you and give you a low interest rate. because you're a higher risk, so therefore you have to pay a higher interest rate on credit cards, higher interest rates on mortgage loans for your home, and you're less chance of getting a killer job. And a lot of times they're like, what do you mean? How's that going to hurt me to get a job? So many jobs now are requiring background checks and credit history. Even your car insurance looks at your credit history because they want to know a little bit more about what kind of character you have. Do you pay your bills on time? Are you responsible? Think about it. Would you want to work with a financial institution where we didn't run background checks on people? We just hired anybody that took care of your money on the teller line? Would you feel very confident and comfortable about that? No. So there's a lot of jobs out there that will actually do credit checks on you. And so if this is a job that you really want and you are the ideal candidate and it becomes between you and somebody else and they do that credit check and they do a background check and there's just a little bit on yours, they're probably going to take that next person. So think about that as you're managing your money throughout your college experience. When you graduate from college, you want that cool job, right? Well, you may have to move out of your parents' house or move out of your college dorm, and you may have to look for an apartment or a new house. So you have to think about that credit approval process that they have. And I'm realizing I'm a little behind, so I'm going to run through this real quick. So years of trouble paying your bills, even with that great paying job after college, if you get behind and you start having bad credit. So if you can eat it, wear it, drink it, or listen to it, you do not need to charge it. Those are all things we consume. Have a affordable fund. These are just some ideas on things that you can do. We talked a little bit about some of those already. And when you're on the move, you need to identify your needs and wants. And we did that a little bit today to give you a better sense. And pay yourself first. Create your own spending plan. Where do you want your money to go? Follow the plan you create and then take time to keep your records updated. And this is the biggest challenge because you're on the move. You got classes to go to, you got things that you're going to do, and how do you track your expenses? There's a lot of mobile apps, there's online programs. So you can track your spending, record your income, know the due dates of your bills, and pay them on time. Use high estimates for expenses and low estimates for income. Here are some great online tools. How many of you guys are familiar with Mint.com already? Okay. EBA is another one, and EBA is based on envelope budgeting. And basically what envelope budgeting is kind of the Dave Ramsey budgeting approach, where you just use strictly cash. And you have an envelope that says savings, paying yourself first, and you put $10 in there and you deposit it into your savings. Maybe your clothing allowance, your grocery allowance, and you can only spend the money that's in there for that item. And once it's gone, you can't spend any more money on that. Sometimes that's the best way to start when you're first budgeting is having these envelope systems. So EBA is kind of like the electronic version where you have little electronic envelopes that you can put money in. And we also have some tools to help you out as well, and you can check us out online at cpfederal.com. And then the next couple of slides was going to go into like before you graduate, and I think I talked about a lot of that stuff already about trying to look for those internships, trying to join organizations to get experience. And we're going to wrap things up, but I have bags to help you not be a zombie with your money. So there's information about mobile apps in there. I have made up envelopes for you to get started on envelope budgeting. There's also some little treats in there, stuff like that. So I'll make sure that you guys get a bag as you're leaving. If you could grab one, Gordon will help with that. Any questions? I'm sorry, I just went on and on and on. Yes.
Sheila, can you quickly go over the rule of 72?
Thank you. I do have that slide on here. Let me go to that real quick. All right. Even with saving, and ignore the saving for retirement, you do want to start early when you save, because if you put $50 in today and you start saving every month, you can put a lot less and get further ahead. If you wait till you're my age to start saving, you have to put twice as much, 3 times as much money, and you still won't get caught up to what you would have done earlier. And so compound interest works this way, where you have $100, you get interest, and now you're earning interest on the interest, and it just grows. The rule of 72 is a great way to, when you're starting to budget, is how long is it going to take for my money to double? And so you look at the interest rate. So Einstein always called this the ninth wonder of the world. And it's 72 divided by the interest rate will tell you how many years it will take for your money to double. Or if you're looking at, I need my money to double in 3 years, well then what kind of interest rate are you going to need? So the rule of 72 is a really great way to manage your expectations. Okay? Because there's so many people that think their money's just going to double in a couple of years. And guess what, hon? You guys, that takes time. Okay? And so that helps taking a look. And then just to show you the benefits of saving early real quick. If you start even saving for retirement, and let's say you have an annual rate of 9%, and you've contributed for 9 years and you started earlier, and Alita is at 22, and she's putting $1,000 a year for 9 years, and she's going to have that much at age 65, almost 2.5 or 250,000. Whereas Corey waited till he was older to start saving, and he put the same amount in per year. But can you see how because he delayed, he missed out on all of that growth? And even if it's not $1,000 a year, maybe you're just putting a little bit away, it's going to help you so much to start earlier than waiting until the next day or waiting until you get that big check. Because you know what? You're always going to be waiting. You're always going to tell yourself, well, I'll just wait. I'll just wait. And the next thing you know, you're going to be 65 and you haven't done anything. So even trying to save now while you're in college for that event that's coming up 3 months or summer vacation, that type of thing. So I'm glad you asked that, Caleb. Any other questions?
Well, we know that another class is going to be coming in very quickly, but we do have, well, we want to thank Sheila Finley. That's the
You're welcome.